Hey, what's going on, Texacanos? It's your boy Jack.
Roro.
All right, so we sitting here, we driving around in the Beast, man. Like I told y'all last time, been a couple of weeks since we made a video, but I told you when I come make a video, I was gonna tell you guys if you're interested in buying a property down in Merida, we was gonna go ahead and give you the information that we got when we got our lawyer and our realtor and all that kind of stuff down there. When we was doing our exploratory and we was getting ready to go through the buying process. Of course, if you watch the videos, you already know what happened with that, you know, if we made that determination. But anyway, the house that we had chose at that time, it was 6.6 million pesos. You can do the conversion to find out what that rate is in today's conversion. And that video, if you want to go look at that video of that house, we actually was doing a walkthrough when they was actually still building. It's the one, don't remember the name, it's something like a local had to show us this, and you know, we were surprised, but it has the thumbnail of a guy in the kitchen and he's actually pointing upwards towards the cabinetry. That's actually the developer. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and bring y'all, well, we're gonna bring y'all some notations of what we had to find out. And again, our price point in this home was 6.6 million pesos. So first thing you're gonna have to know is that you're gonna have to have your property acquisition tax. That's normally, for us, there was gonna be at a 16%. So on the 6.6 million, how much was that gonna be on acquisition tax?
259,000.
Okay, you gotta speak up a little bit.
259,000 pesos.
Okay, so 259,000 pesos is gonna be the property acquisition tax, roughly about 16%. Okay, now there's just like, you know, a bunch of other closing costs, just like you have anywhere else in the States, wherever you may be from. You might have that same thing that you're contending with, where you got a bunch of different registration, you know, fees and appraisal fees, and all that, you know, just part of the whole buying process. One thing I can tell you, when you're dealing about your property acquisition fees, oh, that's a park over here. Want to turn to the park?
Sure.
We're gonna turn over in this park real quick, y'all. Still, I don't know how noisy. Like I said, we are in the Beast, man. In the Beast, you know, this is a diesel, so it might be a little bit noisy. I'm not sure how noisy it's gonna be. I'm gonna pull over and we'll give y'all this information real quick. Let me see here. Look, I gotta go around.
Yeah, go around on the main street.
Okay.
Unless you want to go in right down here. Just get another turn in. That way you don't have to
keep straight.
Make a right.
All right, we make a right here. So y'all just hold what you got, 'cause I'm gonna give you what you need. Now, while I'm doing this, remember, if you're gonna buy a property down in Merida, if you're gonna buy a property down in Merida, remember one of the rules is, as foreigners, we can't own a property in our name. Now there are some exceptions, and I'm not gonna get into that right now, but there are a few exceptions to that. But anything that's, I want to say, is 30 or 31 miles from the coastline, the property, you can purchase it as a foreigner, but it has to be set up in an entity, a holding, if you will, and that's called a fideicomiso.
Basically like a trust.
Yeah, like a trust. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to tell y'all all about all that kind of stuff. We actually are coming back from doing a little thing for one of our clients. Had to go check on if they started breaking ground on their homes, and that's what this little park is. So we're gonna pull up in here because I think the Beast is kind of noisy. So this is just a little playground here. I know y'all can't see it because the camera's facing us, but I'm gonna make a turn here. Again, you guys might be able to see something. I don't, you know. All right, so I'm gonna turn right here. All righty then. So, it's a little cold. It's cold, so I'm gonna turn the Beast off. Okay, so as I was saying, we got our notes here. The acquisition tax is based on the value of the property. Once you enter the purchase, and this is buying a brand new home, you know, you're gonna be buying it from the ground up. So, okay. So the first thing we're gonna have to do is, like I said, we got our notations here, is depending upon what the appraisal come back at is going to be how much your property tax. So on the $6.6 million, you know, pesos, of course, Ours came in at $259,000. Now, as far as any type of expenses and government fees and registration, all these stuff that I'm gonna tell you, it totaled up to be a total of 34,950 pesos. Now, all that included public deed rights. What else?
Then you have the No City Water certificate. You have the registration rights,
preferential mode rights, qualification rights. You got your certificate of lien and encumbrances. You got to make sure that this property is free of any type of encumbrances, liens, or whatever have you. You got your notice rights, your property tax certificate of no debt. You got your certified cedulas. You got your cedula rights. You get 4 certified copies of the deed and 1 final title deed. Now, all of those different things, it was going to be 34,950 pesos for the, again, for the $6.6 million peso home. All right. Now we got to talk about the legal and the notary fees. Now the notary fees, everything in total was a total of how much was that?
It was a total of 91,200
okay.
pesos.
That's the wrong number. It's actually 81,200 pesos. It's 8. They kind of messed up handwriting here. But anyway, so it's 81,200 pesos. And what that comprised of is, it was 70,000 pesos, plus, again, another 16% tax, which altogether, that was going to be 11,200. Yeah, so then added with that 70, it's going to be 81,200 pesos. Okay. Now, for the appraisal, our attorney had found us a guy that was going to do the appraisal, and he was going to only charge 10,500 pesos. And again, that dreaded tax is a 16% tax, which would have been an additional 1,680. So for the appraisal, it was going to be a total of 12,180 pesos. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the entity, that holding trust, if you will, the Fideicomiso. One thing you got to remember about the Fideicomiso is not a one-time deal. Set it up and that's gone. So what it is, think of it like this. Again, it's a holding entity. So as a foreigner, we can't hold the property in our own names. We're gonna go to the bank. The bank gonna apply, or your attorney's gonna apply for a Fideicomiso. It got to go through a process. If that Fideicomiso is approved, then the Fideicomiso, the bank is gonna be the primary, name on that thing. As a foreigner, we're gonna be the beneficiary with irrevocable trust, if you will, which means that they can't go behind your back and steal your property from you. It's yours, and you're going to be an active participant in that holding entity, and you're going to be the one who giving directional, things, to the bank. You're going to tell them what you want to do with the property. You want to buy it, you want to hold it, whatever. So no, it's not like the bank's buying the property. You're buying the property. It's just that as foreigners, that's the Mexican law down there. It's 31 miles from that coastline, and that's just the way it has to be. Now, I can tell you, if you wanted to get beachfront property, if you will, even closer, within, I think, 5 miles from the coastline or something to that effect, can't even do it as a foreigner. Now, as a foreign corporation, they said you can do it. As a foreign corporation, we can do it. But other than that, you can't do it. From what I was told. If I was told wrong, somebody let me know. Okay. Let me get my notes back here. So now we're talking about the Fideicomiso. So once it is accepted, for us on that $6.6 million, so for the permit from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that was going to be 26,125 pesos. Okay. For the acceptance of it, it was going to be 9,800 pesos. And then on an annual basis, every time it comes up on an annual renewal, it was going to be that 9,800 pesos. And that's for administrative fees, for them setting up, and handling your and maintaining your paperwork and all that in the Fideicomiso, which again is like your holding entity. Okay. But you are the beneficiary of that holding entity. You are active participant. You are the person who's given all direction of what to do with that, with that property. If you're going to live on it, you're going to do whatever else that you have with it. So everything, all the additional costs for us, it was 433,055 pesos. and that was on a $6.6 million house. So altogether, it would have been roughly about 7,033 pesos or something to that effect. 7,600,000, whatever the math is. But hopefully, this give you guys some kind of insight as to all the additional stuff that you have to think about. Now, I can tell you, you guys really, really want to think when you're looking at buying a property. If you're thinking about buying a property, make sure that you know if it's in a Pravada or if it's not going to be in a Pravada, and make sure you understand who's in charge of bringing the utilities to the house. You know, because we've seen some situations where people start building houses and they're outside of a Pravada, but there's two different types of Pravadas too. Keep that in mind. All Pravadas are not built on the government side, which the city side, if you will, which means it don't have the service utilities maintained and owned by the city. So if you see in a situation like that, then you're going to be held as an individual responsible for bringing in water, gas, power in general, and that can get real expensive on top of your purchase price for your home, on top of all your additional closing costs for your home. So you better make doggone sure that you know who's responsible for what, you know, because the house that we was looking at, again, well, that house, it was going to be on the city side, so they were going to bring the roads in and some other things. But when you go into these neighborhoods and you're going down these dirt roads and people are telling you, well, that's because they're in the pre-sales, make sure you're asking them, okay, when this community is built out, who's going to be in charge of maintaining these roads? Make sure these roads get paved, you know, make sure that you have the city services as far as trash pickup, you know, make sure, again, water, because what we just take for granted might not be automatic given out there, man. So again, especially if you don't speak the language, make sure you have somebody with you, or before you sign anything, you take it to somebody who can explain that to you in your language, whether that's English, whatever it is. Because remember, once you sign your name on that dotted line, that's a contract, buddy, and you're responsible.
It's a contract, and we have nowhere to turn, nobody to turn to when things are going the way we hoped or the way they kind of told us in the beginning. So although you may have a contract, you need to really understand that contract, because you may actually have a home being built. It may not be within the time frame.
Definitely time
and then
frame.
Once it is built out, you may not have again, like they say, electricity and stuff that you kind of take for granted that, you know, you kind of assuming they'll have because it's in a whole Pravada. Because they actually had people saying, well, you can just go ahead and move in, sign on this dotted line, take the keys, and you can't cook. You have no power.
No lights, no nothing.
So be careful, because they tell you, okay, we could bring in a generator. Why would you want to live off a generator?
Yeah. So when I said there's two types of Pravadas, everything with a gate. Remember, the definition of a Pravada is like a neighborhood with the security gate at it, you know, an enclosed entrance. But keep in mind that you have a private developer that can come in and literally get a strip of land, put about 10 to 20 houses on it, put a security entrance at the front, and technically that's a Pravada, okay? But that developer has no rights as far as dealing with the city, you know, I mean, the government. So again, the utilities, the services may not be there. You guys just make sure that you know what you're doing and you have somebody that know what you're doing. Get you somebody that's familiar with, you know, with Mexican real estate down there. We're realtors, but not in Mexico. We're realtors in the States. We know what we're doing, but we dealt with, you know, we got with a realtor down there. You know, we got with attorneys and stuff like that. So again, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And I was going to say, too, a lot of people are going a lot further out. They don't really have to go too much further out in Merida. They can kind of stay close to the Periférico.
Yeah.
A A lot of people feel like if they go to Concal and all those places, everything is not so far back like I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I thought those cities would be a lot, further back away from town. From should I say, what is downtown? Centro, yes. But a good place, a good area is what is it? Ditsea.
Yeah, Ditsea. So, we like Ditsea. Again, that's where the house that we were talking about getting built there is going to be in Ditsea, which is right outside the Periférico. No more than about, maybe good, 10 minutes? Not even 10.
Exactly.
Not even 10 minutes. But of course, they have built up so much now in Chalul, in Concal, Caquel, which is the other way outside the Periférico. Like if you was going to be kind of in between, if you were going to be headed towards Progreso, off to the left, like it's Caquel. But there's still a lot of deals out there, and they're even building up a lot now going down to the west and the east. So it ain't just limited to the north or Chalul or Concal or Ditsea. You can go down and get some real good deals right now when you go down, east. But I can tell you, it's not uniformity like in a Privada, because they are building, especially down there in the east, they're building these nicer homes. Or what they're really doing, they're taking pre-existing homes and they're remodeling those now. Because, again, we foreigners, we're coming down there with our money, whether it be United States, Canada, whatever. We're coming down and we're paying to them what's great prices, and they're happy to take your money, man. So I'm not going to prolong this anymore because I did want to have one other thing I'm going to talk about real quick. But hey, you guys, hopefully that'll help you give some type of direction, at least a starting point to know what kind of extra fees and everything encompass buying a house as far as your closing costs. Again, that was on a $6.6 million house. Everything extra was 433,000 pesos. So there you go. Now, a lot of people are emailing me because I put my email on one of those, one of my videos. A lot of people email me, and I can tell you first thing, no, I do not, by any stretch of imagination, teach Spanish. I don't teach Spanish, y'all. I don't think that my Spanish is good. I'm transactional. I don't consider myself to be bilingual by any stretch of the imagination. I'm transactional, so I can get my point across, and I definitely can understand when people talking to me. Well, I guess that's kind of bilingual then, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of bilingual. It helps me from having to pull out my phone.
I guess. I just know because, why I consider myself transactional is because I know how to communicate my thoughts for something that I'm interested in doing. So my advice to you people, because again, a lot of people have been hitting me up asking me, hey, do I teach Spanish? I can definitely get on a Zoom call with you, and I can help, I can help you learn, or I can help you go through some different phrases. Let me put that better, because I don't think any language is learned, it's acquired. Just like when we was babies growing up, our parents did not stick a book in our face and try to teach us grammar and all that kind of stuff. Get away from that. Unless you're in school or for, maybe for a job and you have to learn, the proper grammar, the proper tenses, then okay, learn it. But other than that, if it's just conversational, man, or transactional or social, whatever you want to consider yourself trying to learn it for, just for fun, I guess, if you will. First thing you do is learn what?
Alphabet.
First thing you got to do is learn. You have to learn that alphabet, man. And the reason I say the alphabet, because unlike the English language, that we have a short A, long A, different vowel sounds and all that, not in Spanish. It's pretty much, it's straight across the board, A, where no matter where you see it, A sounds is ah. B is be. It is what it is. They have a couple of little exceptions to that rule, but for the most part, 98% of the time, it's going to be stagnated just like that. So once you learn your alphabet to sound, and you get used to hearing those sounds, then the second piece of advice I can give you, don't study grammar. I think I've already said that, but I'm telling you now, don't even think about studying grammar, man. It's not, to me, it's just not worth it. Not if your goal is to become, to a point where you can communicate with people and understand what they're saying. You're wasting too much time on learning tenses when you can be doing other things. Third thing I can tell you is don't focus on trying to have an extensive vocabulary by studying or learning individual words. Blue, green, pants, house, car, money, dog, whatever. Because if you don't understand those words, how to use them in context, then it's not going to make much sense when you're hearing it or you're trying to speak it. Learn phrases. If you're going to an airport, you're planning on making a trip to Mexico, learn how to say the things you think you're going to need to say in Spanish. You know, excuse me, where's the ticket counter? Where's the, the security gate? Where's flight number this? Is my, do my plane have a, do my flight have a delay? I lost my suitcase. Where do I pick up the suitcases at? Those are kind of things you want to learn. And then also, when you're studying like that in phrases that might, be pertinent to you at that point in time in your life, also think about what responses a person might say and learn that too. Because again, what good is it to learn how to say something if you don't understand what's being spoken back to you? Mm-hmm. So you got to do a little homework, but to me, it's better. I'm what you call autodidacta, which is just simply saying I'm self-taught, okay? I learned a little bit differently. I learned, honestly, just by reading books and magazines and just not really knowing if I was even saying the words right. That's why I'm telling you guys, if you learn that alphabet, if somebody would have told me that, to learn the pronunciation of those letters first, then when I'm going through and I'm reading these books and these magazines, I would have kind of had a better understanding of what I was trying to pronunciate, the words. But yeah, so hey, that's going to be it for us, man. We're going to go ahead and crank this beast back up, get on back down the road. But sorry it took us a while to make a video, just been extremely busy. I just really wanted to have you guys have some type of direction. If you're trying to get serious or you're doing an exploratory mission down there in Merida and you're thinking about maybe purchasing the home, hey, more power to you. Like I said, if you watch our video, you can find out what we decided and why we decided what we decided. But it's, hey, everybody's different. So in the meantime, peace, everybody. We're out.